friends, it's Nancy, and I have got a whole bunch of journals I want to share with you. So I mentioned earlier that I wanted to make some farmhouse themed journals and I wanted to make some bee themed. So I went a little crazy with the farm themed, and I have 5 complete journals. One is a hardback book. I have this pinned right now because I have to go and get some fasteners to go on this, but this is a collage lace closure that I've made for this book. It's got an antique shell button there as well. These are all similar. Of course, they're packed full of authentic vintage ephemera, antique ephemera as well. And I will quickly go through the repeats, but I will do a more in-depth flip through of one of them. And this book is very similar, has similar items, similar pages, but of course it's got 3 signatures, so they're not in the same order, and there is some extra pages in the book. Okay, so I think I will, let's just do this one here. So this is a business envelope that I have collaged and sealed, and I've got it closed with some vintage seam binding. This is an authentic vintage postcard, and it says milking time, spooning time. This edge that I've put on, this was inspired by my friend Pam, who did an adorable traveler's notebook that had a puppy dog on it. It was so cute. And she had put fabric on the spine, and I thought, that is gorgeous. So I stole that idea, Pam. So what I've collaged with is ads from a 1920s magazine, a farming magazine. So lots of different things to look at. Underneath this postcard, this is a vintage envelope from 1941, and I just punched a hole so that it could be used to store little notes or receipts or whatever. It just tucks up under there for safety. On the inside, you're going to see lots of vintage ephemera, as I said. And so here's a tag that I made using collage on the front and back. And this is a cigarette card. And this is some lace from a handkerchief. This is an old Brad vintage office pieces. And I love the little comic on here. It says, "Oh, Mom, I bet you that's where those doggone bumblebees get their stingers." And there's a chick underneath the thorn. Here's an ad for a tractor. This is from a book that I've cut out of a book. The page itself is from a farm ledger. So it talks about, horses and the expenses related to horses. Just a little picture here. This is from a reproduction of a 1919 Eaton's catalog. So this is, it talks about, soldiers returning from World War I, and this was the house that they could get, and different furnishings that would come out of that house. And I put some vintage fabric here, little bit of tatting from a handkerchief. This is a piece of, this is tea-dyed scrapbook paper. I just stitched on a few scraps of fabric there. Here I've got a vintage envelope that I used as a tuck spot. I think that was from 1938. This is a vintage flashcard, and this is a wood thrush. some book page from a needlework book, and inside this is a receipt from a John Deere farm machinery distributor dealership. It had carbon paper on the back, so I put 2 layers of paper on the back so that it could be used for journaling. It just tucks right in there. Some tea-dyed scrapbook paper, and again I've added some tatting, a vintage button, and a piece of pretty fabric. Little tuck spot that I made from some more collaged farm journal newspaper. And this is a little postcard from the health unit talking about a sample of milk that was taken in November 1960, and it was grade 1. So, a little lace cluster here. This is a vintage ledger. This is a vintage card, so it has some a scrap of crochet lace here and a button. And if you want to, you can glue this closed and have a tuck, or glue the whole thing and open up the top and have a tuck. This is a tuck spot, and I've put a little yo-yo, some lace, and a button there. And this is a vintage 1944 envelope, business envelope. Another old piece of ledger. Couple pieces of fabric, button, and some crochet lace. On this page, this is from a 1940s catalog for Bass River Furniture. They make chairs. And I also have this image of a tractor that I cut from a book and I've glued onto some card. And this is an authentic photo of a little girl on a horse. It says 6 years old. Don't know who the little girl is, but she's 6. So I've just got that stapled with vintage paper clip. Here I have a page from a book about flowers. And here is some tea-dyed scrapbook paper. This is a child's book page, and I've added some lace and some fabric and a button. It flips out. And inside, this is also a tuck spot here, but this is a 1940 envelope. This is a card from the Toronto Milk Transport Association, and this is a milk cap. Struggled for that one, didn't I? This is scrapbook paper, and on this side I have made a little tuck spot from a scrap of vintage petticoat that I purchased at an estate sale recently. So it came with a wedding dress. Here's a page of Edith Holden. And on the back of the scrapbook paper, I have a document. This is it's from 1920, stock certificate, and also an authentic, just looking for a date, 1912 postcard. And that's just clipped on there. Again, another vintage envelope. That's from 1938, and I've got some lace and button. And this is from a recipe box that I recently got in Buffalo. So there's lots of places to journal in here. Lots of wide open spaces. Here's the back of that book page with the flowers on it. And I've done a little lace and fabric and button collage there. It's a ruffle that I've stitched on, and a little key charm. Here is a vintage card, and it opens right up, so you can do some journaling in there. And this is a milk scorecard Don't know what year, but it'll probably be 50s or 60s. Oh, and here I've got part of a letter that was written in the 40s glued on here. This is the back of that vintage envelope. Back of the vintage card. Ledger. Here is a page from a hog auction, actually. So it was a booklet that was mailed out to farmers who would be interested in bidding on some hogs. This little paperclip is in the shape of a cow. This is from 1928. It's an account of some money that's owed to somebody. This is a postcard from the 1950s, and it's blank on both sides. And this is some vintage lace stitched on there as a pocket. Back of that Eaton's catalog. Again, it has fabric and lace and buttons. So this is the merchandise described in the soldiers' settlement equipment. So this is the furniture that would come along with that house. Here's the other side of that farm journal, and I got these big price tags. They're for grocery stores at an antique show back in the summer, and that's a real milk cap, and that's real milk ticket. So there's a whole lot of authentic ephemera leaving you there. So the fabric is also vintage. A little bunny there, isn't he cute? So that's the first journal. So this one is milking time. I'll show you this one. It's Cherries. And this postcard was sent from Tavistock. This letter's from 1941. And you're going to see very similar things. Whoop. So tag, cigarette card. There's a turkey. Made sure I had Cherries paper in here. Kitty cats. This is a piece of stationery from Mount Bernard Farms Limited Dairy Products. And you can also tuck things up in there. Here's another 1920s stock. This flips out. I couldn't bear to cut any of this paper off because it's just too pretty. Polish tea cakes. Another little key. This flips down. Another sheet from that auction catalog. So again, very similar. Just a few different things. So that one is Cherries. It's from 1953. through here quick. Look at this little cutie. I think she's standing in a rhubarb patch. Some sheep. Another stock certificate. Look at the illustration on it. Beautiful. It's not been used. Cinnamon bread. Look at those beautiful roses. This opens right up. Another sheet from that auction. Statement of account. Another postcard. Oh, what do we call that one? Mill pond. Mill pond. All right. Here's this final one with these saucy ladies on the haystack, and they are ready for anything. This is from 1916, this envelope. Tag. Love this. I have some ladies and a gentleman. Some more flowers. There's some cows. This is Hillside Dairies. So it's a Euchre scorecard, but advertising a dairy. Look at the birds, they're talking to each other, all three birds. Another stock certificate. Mrs. Lewandowski's pineapple hat flat? Pineapple hat pie? Pineapple flat pie? I don't know. This is a little booklet I made with a bank savings book from the 50s, and I just put in a few pages. This little card doesn't open up, so there's no place to write in this card, so that's why I put this little booklet in. But I thought the image was just too beautiful not to include. So they're ready for anything. And finally, now bear in mind this is going to have some closures on here, but it is 8 o'clock at night as I film this. So it will open up. This is a book from 1911. Just a little book. And on the inside I have covered it with fabric. This is Kathy Holden fabric. And I added these little, I think these would have been like a coaster or something. I got these at an estate sale. So I just made a couple of tags with some leftover collage bits to pop in there. And there's the date, 1911. So again, similar paper, similar kinds of decoration. So here's some hollyhocks on that tag. Some tea-dyed scrapbook paper with a little lace fabric button. This is a page from a needlework book, but to make it big enough, I just stitched on this piece of old ledger. And there is another one of my receipts, and because it had the carbon on the back, I've put 2 layers of paper. Vintage card. This is from a Reproduction Eaton's catalog. On the inside, it has garments for women to wear on the farm. So here she is with her pitchfork, and here she is milking a cow, and I don't know what she's doing to that horse, but I thought that was fun. And men in their underwear. Back of the card, statement, records of accounts in this needlework book. This is something a little different. So this is from 1920, and it's actually a subscription renewal sheet. This was fragile, so I have glued it to some paper, and it's for renewal notice for the Farmer's Advocate. Page from farm account book. I didn't put a milk cap on there. I'll have to put a milk cap on there. So it'll be slightly different. It'll have milk cap and fasteners on the lace. Page from the original book. A card from the health unit saying they've got grade 1 milk. Here's a card. And this is a needle book from Arthur Grand Valley Dairy. And this is a sheet from an old ledger from 1915. And I've got some buttons and fabric and lace. There's a cute little doggy. And a stock certificate. Look at this guy. He's got a scythe. He's taken a break from cutting hay, I guess. And here's a picture of a tractor. Again, this was cut from a book. I've just reinforced it with some card to be used for journaling. Original book page. Original book page. Here's an stationery from that dairy. Some tea-dyed paper. A lark bunting. Tea-dyed paper. Those beautiful pictures. Polish donuts. And in back, again, I put this fabric that looks like a collage of ledger sewn in this pocket and just tucked a little tag in there. So if you are seeing this video, I have glued a milk cap to this card and stitched fastener on here. And all of these are for sale. They're in my Etsy shop. The link is below. Thanks so much. I hope you have had a terrific holiday season, and I can't wait to do some crafting with you and catch up. Talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.